Good afternoon and welcome back to Football League World TV. I hope everyone had a great weekend at watching your EFL team. As ever, it was another exciting weekend of English Football League action. And we're going to be running through it this afternoon with our two winners, two losers show. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk. I'm joined by my colleague as ever, Marcus, to select two winners and two losers from the EFL weekend. Marcus, how are you getting on this afternoon?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, Sam. So much to talk about, as always, in the EFL. Some exciting local derbies as well. Plenty of fire going on the pitch this weekend. So looking forward to getting into the show.
Yeah, lots going on. Please do send in your comments during this show. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So get yourself in the live chat. Send in your comments. Who were your winners and who were your losers from the EFL weekend? As we always do, we're going to start off with the winners first. All right, who's your first winner, Marcus, from the EFL weekend just gone?
It had to be Watford. What better place to start than Vicarage Road on Sunday? The first M1 derby, I saw people calling it, since 2006, with supporters in the ground, and Watford running out 4-0 winners. They couldn't have imagined anything better, really. Went into the match having lost 3 of their last 4 games, including a really concerning 3-0 loss at Millwall in midweek. So to bounce back in the fashion that they did was really impressive and just showed the individual quality that they've got in the side and will have kept hope in the hearts of supporters that they can still bounce back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. Keenan Davis with an incredible improvised finish to net the opener. I'm starting to think whether he's an even better player than Emmanuel Dennis, who they lost towards the back end of the summer transfer window. If you ask Nottingham Forest if they would like to swap them, I think there'd be a large portion of the fan base that would maybe take you up on that offer. Luton were their own worst enemy at times. Definitely the third and fourth goal caught in possession in their defensive third after having chances to get back into the game. But Watford was so clinical. We know the quality of the individuals that they've got at the top of the pitch. Pedro and Sarr finding the net in the second half. Just a really, really memorable afternoon for that supporter base. And of course, something to potentially buy Bilic a little bit more time and at least endear him to the fan base a little more.
Absolutely. A massive result, particularly after that really demoralising 3-0 defeat at the New Den last time out against Millwall. The sort of mood amongst the Watford fan base was very low after that defeat. Lots of people questioning the ownership and the hierarchy at Watford, and also some sections of the fan base questioning the appointment of Slaven Bilic. However, he has sort of arrested that sort of questioning there with that win on the weekend against local rivals Luton. Marcus, how important is it now that Watford back this win up? Because we've seen it, haven't we, over the last couple of weeks with Watford, where they do pick up quite a resounding win. I look back to that 4-0 win away at Stoke, and they followed that up with 2 defeats. How important is it for Watford now, for their season, to back this result up?
Yeah, it's enormous. They can't really continue the inconsistency that they've had, or they'll give themselves too much of a mountain to climb. I think João Pedro coming back into the side, we can't underestimate how important that has been in the last few weeks. I think this was one of his first starts, if not his first, since recovering from injury. So that should aid that process of building on this one. But I mean, you could see that the scenes from the crowd and the players, it did look like a together group. And that this win could mean more for them off the pitch in terms of building that togetherness more than just the 3 points alone. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they can build on it. There have been certain players, certain sort of low individual performances in the last few weeks that have probably held them back a little bit. But no, it'll be enormous for confidence and the morale of the group. And yeah, when you look at the quality on that team sheet, it's often quite hard to write them off, particularly at Vicarage Road.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting a very cagey, tight affair, actually, going into this game, just going off the form that Luton have been in, 7 games unbeaten prior to that game at Vicarage Road on the weekend. Many people fancied Luton to potentially pick up a result at Watford, but Watford completely overpowered them. Their star quality certainly overshone them. Were you surprised at just how one-sided this game turned out to be?
Yeah, on the other hand, I don't think the scoreline maybe reflects the way that the game panned out. Luton having chances to get level. Osho will be disappointed not to half the deficit in the second half. Elijah Adebayo had a great chance with a header in the first half as well. And I think Watford were very clinical. I'm almost not surprised too much just because of the individual talent in the Watford side. There is going to be games this season almost similar to their 4-0 win at Stoke, their first match under Bilic, where you're kind of not too surprised because you know what the ceiling is of this team when all of those players do turn up. For me, I didn't expect to be seeing Keenan Davis back in the Championship after last season. There's strong cases that Pedro and Sarr are too good for the level also. So when those three are clicking in the final third, it's going to be very difficult for any backline at this level to deal with them. So, yeah, I probably wasn't too surprised by the scoreline just because they have that high upside. But going into the game, there's no doubt about it, Luton were the team in better form off the back of an impressive win at Norwich City as well. I did expect it to be more competitive, but I sort of understand how it could play out like that given just the quality on the pitch for Watford.
Yeah, massive win for the Hornets on the weekend. They downed local rivals Luton Town 4-0. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on Marcus's first selection of Watford as one of his winners from the EFL weekend. Right, let's get Marcus's second winner next. All right, who's your second winner, Marcus?
So going down to League Two, it's Crawley Town. A great week for the Reds. Lewis Young coming in as caretaker manager and winning both his matches, his first two league matches after sort of stepping in the interim after Kevin Betsy was dismissed. A 3-2 win over promotion chasing Mansfield Town at Broadfield Stadium. Again, just building that momentum and pulling themselves away from the relegation picture, which is something that they wouldn't have been expected to be around at the start of the season. Tom Nichols and Ashley Nadesan combining. Nadesan with 2 goals, both assisted by Nichols, and then Nichols with a header from a set piece. Does tend to get on the end of a lot of set pieces, considering he's not the tallest of strikers. Just really throwing it back to last season. Everything that's been good about Crawley in the last few seasons, sort of as an upper mid-table League Two sides, Tom Nichols has been right at the heart of that. So to be involved in all 3 goals is really impressive from him. Obviously, the Stags, a side that would have been favourites going into the match, and turned it round in impressive fashion, going 2-0 down and getting back to 2-2 before half-time. But no, an excellent win for Crawley against a team that I expect to be right up there come the end of the season.
Yeah, 2 wins in a row now for Lewis Young. It's a nice upturn in form after what has been a very, very poor start for Crawley Town. What would you say has been one of the main reasons behind this sort of mini upturn in form? To me, it looks like Lewis Young has just almost brought it back to basics, deployed a 4-4-2 on Saturday. Nadesan up front alongside Nichols. Seems to have sort of worked, hasn't it? Just sort of bringing it back to basics almost.
Yeah, I'll be delighted with the impact he's had. I do think maybe on the balance of chances, they were a little bit fortunate to win the game. They scored 3 goals from under 1 expected goal, and Nadesan is very clinical. But when you mention that back to basics, you've got a player with the electric pace at times Nadesan can have in behind. Both goals, he's really running off the shoulder of the last defender. Whether that's something that they've worked very closely with him with Betsy leaving and since that decision, I don't know, but I mean, when you've got a player with those kind of attributes, that is a sort of go-to play to try and profit off running in behind, and when you've got a player with Tom Nichols' vision, really good at finding pockets of space to pick up the ball on the half turn, and that's how he ended up finding Nadesan for the first goal. That is maybe something that Betsy, and an area that he wasn't getting the most out of, that Young has spotted and is starting to. Yeah, I like the midfield too. Jack Powell and Jake Hessenthaler, 2 very different players. Powell more of a playmaker, more of a maybe luxury midfielder for League Two level, and Hessenthaler, your more ball-winning engine room midfielder. They do complement each other quite well. And then they've got fullbacks that can bomb on and join in the attack as well, with Cirilla at left back and Travis Johnson at right back. So there's a lot to like about this Crawley squad, as was the case going into the season. Not many people expected them to be down there. But yeah, if Lewis Young can keep cranking out the results as he is, then I think it'll give Wagme United a nice amount of time, maybe not to give him the job full time, but at least to hold off on their job search, or make sure that they do it with the detail that is best for them, and just allow them to ride this wave for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Lewis Young certainly impressing in his audition for the top job at the Broadfield Stadium. Let us know your thoughts on Marcus's second selection. Crawley Town were his second winner from the EFL weekend. Right, let's move over then to the losers. Okay, who is your first loser, Marcus?
First loser is Barnsley, losing going into the weekend, rock bottom, Morecambe in League One, a 1-0 defeat. And it's now 3 games without a goal for Barnsley after they were just maybe showing signs that they could push themselves even up into the automatic promotion conversation in League One under Michael Duff. It's sort of come at quite a bad time. Maybe they're sort of victims of their own success. I did expect Barnsley to be a transition this season, but they really weren't able to create too much against one of the poorer backlines in the division in Morecambe. Must be said, Connor Ripley got man of the match for Morecambe, but it was more for saves for me from speculative, hopeful efforts from Barnsley than really carving them open, and the Morecambe keeper ended up keeping them ahead. So, yeah, disappointing result for Duff. They've got a couple of home games coming up this week, Forest Green and Lincoln, so they do have good chances to really bounce back and get themselves back in that promotion picture. But I think just a missed opportunity, really, going away to a Morecambe side that ended up picking up just their second win of the season, when Barnsley could have really pushed themselves back up towards that top 4, stay on the sort of heels of Sheffield Wednesday and clubs like that. So, yeah, a missed opportunity and a 1-0 loss from a game that they would have been hoping to get 3 points.
Yeah, the Tykes only 3 points away from the playoff zone right now. So there is, of course, plenty of time for them to sort of rejuvenate their fortunes. But like I say, three games without a win in League One in the last 3 games, a lack of goals. Michael Duff, after the game, was very particular about identifying a reason for the defeat. He did sort of emphasise the lack of goals, the lack of creativity is a genuine issue in that Barnsley side right now. In terms of Barnsley, Marcus, before we move on to the second loser, are they a team that can break into that sort of playoff mix, do you feel, or do you think they might just fall short this season?
My initial expectations was that it would be a transition season. Upper mid-table would potentially be a decent season. They've shown that they're capable of much more than that at the start of the season. Devante Cole kind of burst out the block, showing form that we haven't seen from him in quite a long time. He's dropped off, and maybe that's leads towards the reason why the team has in the final third as well. I do wonder whether Barnsley, quite a young squad, must be one of the youngest in the division, whether we see those peaks and troughs sort of exaggerated a little bit more, because that's the demographic of the squad. Not as many senior players to drag them through the tougher moments. So it's still one to watch. They're not the finished article. I think they can remain in the conversation for the rest of the season. It's just whether they really are able to nail down a place in that top 6. I think they might be found wanting a little bit. Could maybe address that with some January business in crucial areas. I think definitely at the top of the pitch that they maybe are found wanting a little bit compared to the sides that they could be jostling for a top 6 berth with. So yeah, still one to watch. I expect Michael Duff to get them back and maybe even recover in this next week or so. But yeah, very disappointing result against very poor opposition so far this season, at least.
Yeah, Barnsley is Marcus' first loser from the weekend. Let us know in the live chat, in the comments, your thoughts on that selection. Right, let's get Marcus' second loser next. Right, who is your second loser, Marcus?
So my second loser of today's show is Milton Keynes Dons. It was Burton Albion bashing at the start of the season on this show, and now it seems to have come over to MK Dons. A 1-0 defeat at home to Wycombe Wanderers. It was an improved performance from what we saw when Plymouth Argyle sort of got past them with ease last week, but still a really concerning one in the final third, not offering much at all. I know they've lost players, but we did not expect them to be quite this bad. They've lost 10 of their opening 14 games of the season. Just a really concerning viewing. And there hasn't been too much in the performances to suggest that they are going to turn that around. The personnel is fine. The squad is there's still plenty of survivors from the team that came third last season. But in terms of what's physically going on the pitch, it's hard to feel too encouraged that they are going to turn this around quite soon. Yeah, Wycombe Wanderers is a bit of a screamer from Nick Freeman that ends up winning the game, but they were the better team. Yeah, we're able to impose themselves on the match from early on, and yeah, a very tough team to come up against it when you go behind in that fashion. They just set up so well defensively, and yeah, MK, you can tell they're really lacking confidence going forward. It's becoming quite hard to watch considering what we witnessed last season. Rock bottom now with Morecambe winning and 4 points from safety. Yeah, it's starting to look bleak, and yeah, tough to know where they go from here.
Yeah, MK Dons were your losers from last week as well. They've been selected once again. A very, very poor defeat there. 5 defeats in a row for MK Dons in League One. They've got the worst home record in Sky Bet League One. Only 1 win so far this term at Stadium MK. 6 losses as well. We touched on Liam Manning last week, Marcus, and talked about him in terms of his job security right now. You know, they are very much underperforming. Has your stance sort of changed in any way? Is the sort of need for change potentially at the top at Stadium MK heightened after that result on the weekend?
Well, I think the position is recoverable. Whether that's recoverable to throw themselves back in the promotion race, I'm not so sure. I think probably looking at finishing mid-table was a good season at this point. They have a big week coming up. They play Charlton away on Tuesday night, and then they go to Cheltenham away on Saturday. Then after that, they don't have a league game until the 12th of November. They'll be in League Cup and FA Cup action. So I kind of feel like if they don't get a win in that next week, that nice gap where they've only got 2 cup games, might be time to make a decision, or at least start looking for an alternative. Yeah, it's really hard because he built up so much credit last season, but when there's no signs on the pitch that they are going to turn it around, they weren't the better team and lost 1-0. You know, last weekend, 4-1 to Plymouth didn't really flatter them. So yeah, it's becoming difficult to defend. We're nearly a third of the way through the season now, and they're rock bottom and 4 points from safety. So yeah, it does look like a change will probably be on the cards. I think the way the fixture schedule is falling, they might give him this week 2 more games to save his job, and then potentially look to make a decision with that little gap in the calendar. So yeah, it's going to be tough. I think Charlton away 1-3 on the bounce. That's not an easy match when you lost 5 in a row. And Cheltenham at the weekend, arguably more winnable. But it is becoming sort of now or never for Liam Manning now. And I think they probably will make a decision after this next week, if they don't even before then.
Yeah, any MK Dons fans watching this show, let us know your thoughts on the current situation at Stadium MK. You Liam Manning in or Liam Manning out? Let us know your thoughts. Right, well, that's it for myself and Marcus this afternoon on this 2 winners, 2 losers show here on Football League World TV. We've got plenty more content coming up over the course of the week. Tomorrow, we're going to be taking a look at Sheffield United in the morning and Paul Heckingbottom's tenure at the club. And then later on in the day, we're going to be taking a look at Russell Martin's Swansea City. They are climbing up the Sky Bet Championship right now into the playoffs after that South Wales derby win on Sunday. Marcus, thanks for joining me as ever. Thanks for anyone that tuned in to watch this. If you're watching on repeat on YouTube, please do stick a like in below this video and subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate all the new subscribers that come and join us. But until tomorrow, we shall see you soon.